are here today to talk about how we made the Kitty Gang Jimin jacket.
I'm very excited to talk about this one today.
It's been a long time coming.
It's an iconic look. Everybody knows it if you're a Jimin stan. I loved it, and it was a really big adventure for me. It was a big project. It took me a couple months, I think. So he wore this during the Love Yourself, Speak Yourself, or Just Love Yourself.
He wore this on one of the
Love Yourself tours on the Japan leg. So, and he wore it during the medley, I believe. It was really hot. Yeah, I don't know what was in the water that day.
I think that's all we need to say.
For the base of the jacket, it's this simple Lacoste pattern for a bomber jacket.
I used the same one as we used on Jungkook, except for this time we had the knit collar, and I had to make a special cuffs and a special waistband for this one. I did modify the pattern, did crop the jacket a little bit because his is definitely cropped. I kind of wish I'd cropped it a little bit more just to be more flattering on me, but I cropped it to like about how much he had it cropped. The pleather I had was actually a leftover pleather I had bought for a different cosplay. It was from Mood Fabrics. It was really nice, and I can't find it anymore. I think it's sold out. So now when I take a commission, I actually have to use a different kind of pleather from a different store. So for the cuffs and the waistband, I used a really wide elastic and then made like a long pleather tubes and made the tubes, a bit longer than the elastic, and then pulled the elastic through so that the tubes like ruched up on itself a little bit. Just enough to give it a nice ruffled look. This is so scientific.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stretch it more, try to spread that out a little bit. And then I went in and did like a really light zigzag stitch to sew the lines in it. I tried to do as many as him, but I think I ended up a little bit short. I actually have to count 6 on the bottom, and then for the cuff I did 5 and 5 on the cuffs this time. But actually in later versions of this, as I've made it and gotten better at it, I've been able to add more lines and make it look even better. So
yeah, because originally Jimin's has 8, I think we counted one time. So we're always trying to strive for as accurate as possible, but you could only fit 6 the first time.
It was the first time doing it, and the first time I do it, it never turns out perfect, but we do it again and again and it gets better.
I think each commission you've made has gotten just a little bit better.
Yes.
And so you use the pleather for the outside, and then the lining is a satin.
It is a satin. It's like a maroon, like reddish, pinkish satin.
It's actually kind of hard to tell what color his lining is, because in some pictures it looks really red maroon, and some pictures it looks really peachy.
For the design, I made like a half muslin. When I originally made this, I made like a half muslin of the jacket and the sleeve and put it up on my dress form. And then I just had photos of his jacket up in the design, and just took a pencil and like drew it on the dress form directly to try to get that shape until I got the shape that I wanted, and then all the shapes on the inside and everything. Then took it off of there, cut it out of the muslin, the designs, and then like took Sharpie and like marked like what each thing was and everything. And that's kind of how I made the pattern for the design.
You basically freehanded it.
Yes. And I split it like into like 3 different pieces, because there's no way I can make one giant piece. It was easier to work in smaller pieces. After I created the pattern for the design, I found this green pleather. It's a little stiffer. I found it one day just looking around at Joann's for something good to match it. It is like some sort of green material on his, so I was like, oh, this green works, it's pleather, it'll be easy to attach and like glue on. I really didn't want to do a lot of sewing. It just seemed like it'd be really difficult to hand sew all that on.
We could guess, since this is probably a designer jacket, that originally everything on Jimin was probably hand sewn on, right? Even down to the sequins, which is great for designers who have the money and time to do that in those fancy couture design houses, but we don't have the capability of doing that. And so, no shame. There's some hot glue. There's at least 6,000 on this project.
So I went and I got the green pleather. I cut out the design on the pleather, and then the pink pieces, I went back and forth. I almost like used like a fabric, like a sequin fabric, but I ultimately decided to cut it out of like pink felt. And then I glued on strips of sequins. Then once I had all those pieces made, I went through and positioned them on the jacket, pinned them on. I had to stuff the jacket really full to get like a nice smooth surface to be able to work with and like see what I was doing. There's like a pillow and a bunch of padding inside there. It looks like a giant like football player for the majority of this project. And then I actually glued down the big green pieces with a gem tack didn't use an E6000 yet because I wanted something that would easily wipe off in case I made a mistake. Once I got it in place and everything was placed properly and it dried and everything, then I went back in with E6000 a little bit and kind of filled in where it was not as secure as I would like it to be. After that, then I E6000 the pink pieces down in place, and then I lined everything with rhinestones. Or in the original jacket, I do believe it's some sort of bugle bead sewn on there. And again, this would have been a lot, very time consuming. And for me, the goal when I make these projects is to make it, it's a fun thing to wear, but I'm not looking to wear it like all the time. Like, had this been something I made for Jimin and the actual concert, then yes, we would be looking at doing hand sewing and making it really
as proper as it should be.
Able to, as movable as possible and, as secure as possible.
But it's a costume.
Right, it's
at the end of the day for us, it's a costume.
And then once everything was lined in the rhinestones, I went through and used different size, like individual rhinestones set in prongs because they were the most sparkly. Starting with like the biggest, like in the widest parts, and then graduating down into the smallest as it goes up towards like the points of the design. There were red rhinestones on the upper outside of the jacket.
When we talk about it like that, it sounds really simple, but
it takes a long time.
It takes a long time. I mean, we're individually gluing each gem down on the jacket. Plus, not to mention the panic moment of like gluing those big pieces on, and you have to get the positioning exactly right and not smear glue anywhere it's not supposed to be. You'll see it. You can't drip. So like, it sounds easy, but there's so much delicate handwork involved in putting all those pieces individually that, I mean, how many hours do you think each one takes?
It definitely takes like a week. At least a full week of hours to make. And it's very intense. The first time I did it without anyone's help, I did it by myself. This one was done all by myself. And then now that I have you, it's a lot, it's still intense, but it's easier to manage because like one person can be gluing while the other person is wiping.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of tag team it. It goes faster that way.
It definitely does. And we've definitely gotten better at it. It goes a lot faster than it used to. As far as like gluing down the rhinestones, we use E6000. We put it in a syringe, and then we screw on like the needles are like, it's not like a sharp needle, it's a blunt like needle, like hollow like tube type thing. It's best when we work with like fresh E6000 because it does come out a little easier if the E6000 is a little old or been open for a while, and it's really thick and hard to push through.
And see, I disagree, and this is how we work a little differently. I like when E6000 is older because as you're applying it to the jacket, it'll stay in place where you apply it. It won't drip and run. If you have the new stuff, it could run, and then we're cleaning up a lot of smears. You're having to like make sure that one gem doesn't slide if your work is at any incline at all. So I like the older stuff. It's harder to squeeze, but then your gems stay in place while you're working.
I get that. Yeah, it's just like I can.
Yeah. So you can see we've even gotten better at it the more we've done it.
Wore this jacket to the second BTS concert I ever got to go to, which was Permission to Dance in LA Day 4, which was an incredible concert day to be at. The first concert that we went to was Day 3. Wore it around SoFi Stadium. It was a little bit stressful, for like first concert experience that day. So I didn't get as many photos and videos as we would have liked. But we definitely worked the concert. I got a lot of compliments.
We're so nice.
Yeah. But it was so cold, so like I had like a lot of layers on and everything. So I kind of looked like I looked like a linebacker.
Well, one thing we found too while you're wearing this is because all those gems are in prongs, if you brush up against anything,
it will snag. And you wore Gucci that day.
I wore a satin jacket.
And every time I got near you, it was like,
right?
So I would like to wear it again, possibly to another concert. But
another little thing we made to go with it for Las Vegas was the matching Gucci shirt that Jimin wears with it in Japan.
Yeah.
The one that has the X's on it. However, I tried to wash it after the concert and all of the gems came off.
Well, it was kind of a rushed project. I think we did it literally like the night or so before we left. And so we just kind of slapped those things on, and when you washed it, they all fell off. But it worked for the day that we did wear it.
That's true. It did make it through the day of the concert. It didn't make it much longer. It's in our closet right now with like half the gems gone. So that's why it's not here for you to see today. And that is a finished jacket. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give us a like or subscribe. It really helps us out. And with that, I'm Kira.
And I'm Serena.
And we are
Fantastical Costumery.
Bye!
Just kind of winging it.
I thought you made this before.
Yeah, I don't remember what I did though. And then he'll wear our one that we made on stage.
Keep telling us. Tell us the story.
He'll wear the one we made on stage, and we could take the one he wore home.
Of course. That's why we do what we do, right? So that someday maybe Jungkook will trade outfits with us.
Yep, we could trade out. I had a vision. It's happening.